Joel here, and welcome back. There's nothing better than waking up in the morning and the smell of cinnamon rolls. That warm, fluffy goodness with this delicious icing. Oh, I'm gonna teach you how to make that. Let's get to it. All right, to start, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the instant yeast. It's a little pack you can get at the grocery store, and this is 2 1/4 of a teaspoon of instant yeast. And I'm going to go ahead and pour it on the warm milk, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mix it a little bit and just let it set aside for until I'm done with the dried ingredients. Okay, so now I'm going to mix the dried ingredients. So I'm going to start with a 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar. I'm going to mix it into my 4 cups of flour. Then I'm going to add my teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm going to whisk it, mix it. So after I have the dry ingredients mixed, I'm going to go ahead and put it in my mixing bowl. Then I'm going to add my 1/4 cup of room temperature butter. Then I'm going to add 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk. And I'm going to go ahead and add my warm cup of milk with the dry yeast inside, the instant yeast. I'm going to start it slow, let it incorporate. So I completely forgot to add the salt, but so you need to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Please don't tell anybody. And continue mixing. And you want to mix it until it's fully incorporated. It's going to turn into a little big mass, and then you want to maybe stop it halfway so you can scrape the sides. It's getting all elasticy, so that means that the gluten it's activating the gluten. Perfect. Okay, so continue mixing it for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, so it looks just about ready, and the way you know it's ready is when you see that little elastic and you can touch it, and it's tacky but not sticky to your hands. That's when you know it's ready. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take it out, and then we're going to knead the dough for a few minutes, and then we're going to proof it. You want to make sure you put plenty flour on your surface so it doesn't stick. I got my little handy tool here because it helps you kind of scrape and pick up the dough. So the dough looks just about done. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and just form into a little ball, just like so. And then we're gonna go ahead and put it in a container, in a bowl, greased. I went and used olive oil, and which I have right here. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it in there. I'm going to cover it with plastic, and then I'm going to proof it for about 30 to 40 minutes or until it doubles in size. So before we roll the dough, I'm going to go ahead and make the filling. The filling is 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar and 1/4 of a cup of granulated white sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now I'm going to go ahead and just whisk it. Make sure you mix it well. And then we're going to just set it aside until we stretch the dough. All right, so as you can see, the dough has literally double in size. So now we're going to roll the dough, and we're going to put the filling. Before you do that, you need to make sure to flour the surface well, so it doesn't stick. So it should just like that. And we're going to just knead the dough for a little bit. Make sure you flour it. lightly shaping the dough, and then we're going to roll it. Just like so. It almost looks just about right. So now we're going to butter the surface with a quarter cup of butter. You need to make sure that the butter is completely at room temperature before you spread it. As you can see, the butter is really soft, so it's easy to spread. Right, so make sure when you add the filling that you cover everything. You should have nothing left over. And all nice and covered, just like that. Right, so now we're going to roll the dough, and you want to make sure you go really tightly at the edges. So I'm going to just start this in. Try to keep it as tight as possible. And it should roll pretty easily. Just make sure that you still keep it tight. Now we're going to cut it. So, to cut it, it's pretty simple. You're going to cut it in the middle, then you're going to cut it in the middle of the halves, and then you're going to go threes, and threes. Okay? And I'm going to use my little tool here. So again, the middle, and then 3. So now that the rolls are done, we're going to put it in a baking dish. My baking dish, I put 2 tablespoons of butter, and then I spread it all the way around and make sure that I cover all areas. And I'm going to put it here. I'm going to do 4 rows of 4. Just nicely place it in here. Make sure they have room to grow. That's when we're going to proof it again for about another 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, or until the double in size. And then we're going to bake them. And make sure you cover them tightly. Alright, so as you can see, the cinnamon rolls have almost double in size, so they're ready to be baked. So I'm baking it at 350 degrees for 28 to 30 minutes or so, or until golden brown. Now, around the 22-24 minute mark, if you feel like the cinnamon rolls are getting too brown, go ahead and put a little bit aluminum foil on top loosely to slow down the browning process. Can you see that? Isn't that pretty? God, they look gorgeous. All right, so now we're just gonna let it cool down, and I'm gonna go ahead and make the icing. All right, so while the cinnamon rolls are cooling down, I'm gonna go ahead and make the glaze, which is 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. And I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of vanilla extract. And I'm gonna mix it. Get it all creamed. Alright, that's about right. So now I'm going to add 2 cups of powdered sugar, slowly. If not, you're gonna have a mess in your kitchen. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of milk. I stopped in between so that way I can scrape the bottom and make sure I get all that sugar from underneath. And then I give it one more spin. All right, that looks amazing. Look at that. That's gonna go in the cinnamon rolls. So after 20 minutes, I went ahead and put the icing, and it's just about done. Perfect. Now I'm gonna save this for me for later, because I like a little extra. So now let's just try. I just like a tiny little bit more icing on mine, if you don't mind. Now let's try this. Look at that. Little fluffy pillow of just heaven. Let's try it. Seriously, so soft. The icing is delicious. Oh, you gotta try this recipe. As always, if you like the video, make sure you hit the like button and please subscribe. But most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little goodness.